Hello and welcome. You are joining us today in Hampshire, where we are at the headquarters of NATS, the UK's largest air traffic control company. We will be talking to Gavin Walker, who's their head of information solutions, and he has been overseeing a vast virtualization project, and he will be taking us through the nitty-gritty, talking about how he's managing to plan the change in culture and technology that entails. Hi there.
Hi.
Gavin Walker, head of information solutions at NATS. Very nice to meet you. You guys have been extremely busy recently. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your organisation, how big it is, the number of users you have, number of desktops, that kind of thing? Give us a bit of a background.
Hi there. Yes, NATS, National Air Traffic Services, we control all the aircraft that fly over the UK and the Oceanic, and have a large part of the UK airport business. Within IS, Information Solutions, within NATS, we manage all the business desktop stuff. We've got 5,500 employees within NATS, and roughly about 4,000 desktops, probably about 1,200, 1,300 of those being actually laptops. Within NATS, it's kind of a unique experience. We don't talk about users, we talk about customers, and our customers can be split up into roughly two big chunks. One is the operational people, so they're the people that actually do the controlling of the aircraft.
The very stressed people.
Yes, and very hard work people. But they're kind of unique in the IT world because they don't have a desk, they don't have a phone, they don't have a PC. Their office is sitting in front of the screens controlling the aircraft. So as a customer to me, then I describe them as a very light IT customer. So they use the IT whenever they come out in their breaks to actually get on and answer emails, communicate. They use some of the systems for briefing. And then they've got all the rest of the customers, the other 3,000 customers, heavily engineering, so very technical focused people, and a lot of office and admin people, like any other normal business.
The support function.
Yes, so that's the kind of the makeup of the customer base that I provide services to, and they're quite challenging because they're completely different. You know,
yeah, there's a lot of different requirements there. Yeah.
So from the chief executive right way down, you've got the very different customers and the challenges in actually providing services for those people across the organisation.
So before this project, if you can just take us back in time a little bit, what was your setup like within NATS, culturally and technically?
The way in which we provided the service to NATS, Information Solutions, I describe as an IT-lite organisation. So within my team, which is only 35 people, we don't have any deep technical skills. Okay. So we rely very heavily on our outsourced suppliers to deliver that. So the IS team are very customer-facing, very customer-focused. Our primary objective is really to deliver good customer satisfaction. And we monitor that every month, and we survey about a sixth of the organisation. Yep. And our customer satisfaction target was 95%, and we regularly hit above 90%, and that's with a sort of response rate of about 40% response rate each month. So they're very customer facing, but also have strong supplier skills management. And we apply that to deliver all the services to the organisation. So that's been very successful, and that's how we've had a lot of success with that. And that's in the midst of actually an infrastructure that's aging. You know, so we have the 4,000 desktops are running Windows XP, Service Pack 3. We've got Office 2003, so Internet Explorer 7. So all the stuff that's kind of still in support, just about, but it's got a shelf life, yes. Yeah. So you've got a plan for what we're going to do and how we're going to tackle that. So whenever we looked at that as the sustainment activity for NATS, but we also in the backdrop looked at how are we going to leverage the next sort of benefits for the organisation and efficiencies in actually delivering services to the organisation. And we sat down and looked at that and came up with a vision, which we've called our future workspace. Okay. And that very much at the heart of that is our virtualization project to actually deliver a virtualized desktop to the organisation.
So those are not not dissimilar drivers that many people out there will be facing. The kind of the aging infrastructure, the need to become more flexible.
So there's a clear point where you're faced with that. You've got 2013 for Windows XP. You've got to do something by then. So you've got to make a decision. Do you actually go and do what you did before, which was buy more hardware, put Windows 7 on it, package all the applications, and deploy it in what I call the classic style of doing it, or do you look at something else and try and leverage greater benefits from that going forward, from the support, the flexibility, and the agility that can offer the customers. And that's what we did, and we looked at that, and we've done an awful lot of work on identifying the solution, what benefits that would give, what the use cases would be to actually what benefits we could give to our customers in all the different scenarios that our customers use the technology. And from that, we've set on a set of applications and technologies to implement and deliver that.
Now you started out with the idea being to rationalise what you had and standardise. So how did you go about doing that? Did you have to do a whole big technology upgrade? Did you have to upgrade hardware, software, and look at your migration tools and so forth?
I think we've, in starting this to actually rationalise and provide that sort of standard desktop for people, we've tackled that quite a few years ago. Whenever we rolled out our current desktop. So we've taken an awful lot of the pain from our customers over the last 3 or 4 years by having a very lockdown desktop, almost too restrictive at the very beginning. Lockdown on the application so people can't install things. Yeah. So it's a very easy desktop and environment to actually support currently, and that's how we attain our good customer satisfaction, because it's supported very well. So that's a lot of the pre-work to actually doing this in the future, because you have to maintain that if you're going to do it in a virtual environment. You have to have that standardization approach. You can't let people go off and do themselves.
So culturally, NATS is already there. You guys are used to having, you switch it on and it's not got all my favourite games from home and I can't play. So on that side of it, your customers, not users, sorry, your customers are already used to that side of things.
Yes, they are. But one of the really great benefits of doing the virtual desktop, and ultimately leading on to bringing your own device or bringing your own computer, but that will be facilitated with the virtual desktop, is you're actually creating much more freedom for the customers. Okay. So it's actually going to be a very easy sell to say, this is the way it was before. I can provide an even more secure environment for our data and for our applications and for our people to work, but I can actually give you the flexibility to do the things you want to. Because too many times, the way people live today is that they have their own laptop with their life on it, their iTunes, their photographs, everything else, and they want to take it everywhere with them, and they may be actually happier working on that in work than actually giving them some grey old laptop that we would issue them with. And why not? It's indeed.
So then, from a technical perspective, how do you prepare for something like this? I mean, what did you need to upgrade your existing software, hardware upgrades? What kind of migration tools did you use? That kind of.
So the key shift in sort of the infrastructure that we're going to be using in the future, by moving all the desktops into a virtual environment and putting them in one place, so putting all your eggs in one basket, you're actually putting a lot more leverage on your network in the future. So a very key thing to look at there was the topology of our network and the bandwidth and the various things that went with that. We had to look at the types of technology on the applications as a very strong driver in the way in which you implement the technology, because there's the more applications that you have to worry about and how they work with the desktops, then you have to package them in a particular way and stream them or choose your method of delivering those applications. So there's an awful lot of work goes into those, and actually identifying which ones are the right ones to use, what can work in a particular way, and that very much drives the implementation of how the project's going to go in the end. the use of technology to enhance the customer experience, the user experience, we've opted to use AppSense to really, we talk about virtualizing the desktop, but you're actually virtualizing the user as well. So all your preferences, everything that makes up you as a user in the system will actually be virtualized and move with you. So you have that guaranteed experience wherever you go and whatever device you use.
I would assume that this has improved things for you guys, at least. I would hope that this has improved things for you guys in the IT department. So can you tell us a little bit about if there's something that you particularly wanted to highlight as something that had been a benefit for IT?
From our perspective, it maintains the supportability of the infrastructure, so we can actually deliver that and guarantee the service levels for our customers. It's excellent in the face of the NATS strategy and for growth and how we want to expand. Then we can react much more quickly and easily to demands. Classic thing is that what NATS has been struggling a wee bit with is that I hold the budget at the moment for everything, for all the applications and for the desktops and the hardware, is that I want to actually get rid of that and move that off to the business. Okay. So there's an education there for the business and how to actually plan for that and work with that. But that's instead of me having to say no an awful lot and actually explain and bring people on board in that way, then we're actually pushing the decisions back to the business. Okay. So it makes it a lot easier for the business to be masters of their own destiny. For me, it's quite difficult because that's control that's just gone. That's
a major cultural change for an IT department to say, business have the budget.
Yes, so giving that away and saying, I don't care what device you have, I can confidently do that, but guarantee the levels of support. Yeah. So it's kind of, you're taking little steps into dipping your toe in the water every time you go with this. So it's putting the appropriate level of governance around it now, and without stifling any of that innovation that can come from the business and ways of working and what can come from the flexibility that we're giving them. Yeah.
So would you recommend the path of less control to any of your compatriots, your colleagues?
I think I would recommend it.
Brief hesitation.
It is, because you still have control, but you have control in different ways. Okay. So it's almost that people can make the decisions. They have greater scope to make decisions that they currently don't have, but they just don't have complete free for all. Okay. So you have I would describe it as appropriate level of governance and appropriate level of control. So I really believe the IS department in the future, in the next 3 to 4 years, will become much more of a broker of services to the business. So I try to describe it as it's like your gas and your electricity. You can go and buy that. It's still the same gas and electricity, but you buy it from different people at a different rate. I want to be able to provide those services at a competitive rate to the business. Yeah. And whenever they say, well, actually something's shifted and I can switch in a different service very, very easily and seamlessly, but their costs will change to reflect what service they want to get. And I think that's what we're going towards, so that you still have that control. But the emphasis becomes much more on me actually being able to provide those services at the right type of services at the right price. If I don't do that for the business, then they will go elsewhere, and then I will absolutely have no control.
And you'll have no control. Yeah. Yes. Okay, that does make sense. So looking back at how your customer base is obviously fairly familiar with a controlled environment, but how has the level of virtualization that you're embarking on now is a much higher level, broader perhaps, with using things like AppSense to kind of help people manage their environments and for you to keep control of things a little bit. How has that gone down with your user base? How are they responding to this kind of standardization?
So at the moment we're just in the midst of that, so it's very much on the sort of proof of concept or showcase demonstration type thing. But the reactions are fantastic. So simple example is that in the NSD2 in our lockdown environment we currently have, then you can't put any pictures on the desktop, and that's there for a particular reason, because for a support reason. But in the future that flexibility will go. but the fact that people will be able to do things in their personal life on the same device and at the same time as working, then has gone down absolutely brilliantly.
Yeah, okay.
And because you've given them the flexibility where they want it to be, then I can tie down even tighter the corporate stuff.
Okay.
But
so if you give people the ability to put a picture of their favourite golden retriever on their computer, they don't mind if you take away.
Kind of at this early stage, then that's kind of what's happening.
They're happy
but
with that.
but it's. I'm probably we can actually tie things down much tighter now than we have done in the past. But because there's the freedom around it, then the people are much more acceptant of that.
Okay. And have you got any general tips, any general advice for anyone out there who might be planning to do something like this? Any advice and any traps for the unwary, boxes that have to be ticked, things that they must do?
I think the key things are that where we've been successful is that you need to be very clear about the use cases that you're trying to tackle. So know exactly how everybody uses the IT currently, and in a virtualized environment you have to map all those use cases. Also get a grip of your infrastructure as early as possible, because if you can start to have the conversations, which are many conversations about people about why things are the way they are, then start those as early as possible. Rationalize within your current environment as much as possible prior to doing this, because it just makes it so much more simplified, and the implementation is much easier. So those are the key things. The other thing that I would add to that is that I've been very lucky in that we've had really good top-down executive level sponsorship for this. So our CEO, Richard Deacon, he really gets the technology and understands it. And if anything, he's actually very pushing for it in that way, in the way he works. So having that support and that understanding just makes things a lot easier, if that's at all possible to get.
Okay. Gavin, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.